Have you ever looked at your life and suddenly realized that years have passed, but nothing really changed?
Have you ever told yourself, I will start tomorrow, but tomorrow kept moving further away?
Today, we are talking about something very real, very personal, and maybe a little uncomfortable.
We are talking about how people lose 5 years of their life without realizing it.
And if you are new here, welcome to the Avatar English podcast, where we help you improve your English through real conversations and real stories.
Make sure to subscribe to the channel because every episode brings you closer to real confidence in English.
And today's story might change how you see your time forever.
Let's begin. Omar, I want to ask you something personal, and I think many listeners will understand this feeling. Was there a moment when you suddenly realized that time had passed faster than you expected?
Yes, and honestly, that moment shocked me more than I expected, because it didn't happen during a big event. It happened during a very normal day, and that's what made it more powerful.
What were you doing at that moment?
I was sitting in my room late at night, and I was not doing anything important. I was just holding my phone and watching random videos, and everything felt normal.
That sounds like something many people do every day.
Yes, exactly. And that's why it was dangerous, because nothing felt wrong. But then, suddenly, I saw an old photo of myself from 5 years ago.
5 years ago? That's a long time.
Yes, and when I saw that photo, I stopped moving for a moment because I remembered exactly how I felt when that photo was taken. I remembered my plans, my goals, and the things I promised myself.
What kind of plans did you have back then?
I wanted to improve my English, develop my skills, and create a better future for myself. I remembered telling myself very clearly that I would not stay in the same place.
And when you looked at yourself in the present moment, what did you feel?
I felt confused at first because inside me I still felt like the same person. But when I looked at my life honestly, I realized that many things had not changed.
That realization can be very heavy.
Yes, it wasn't a loud feeling. It was quiet, but it was deep. I realized that time had moved forward, but I had not moved with it.
That's a painful thought.
Yes, and what made it harder was understanding that nothing dramatic had happened. There was no big failure, no big mistake. It was just many normal days, repeated again and again.
So it wasn't one bad decision, it was many small, unconscious decisions.
Exactly. Each day felt harmless, but together they created something bigger. They created years that passed without real progress.
I think many people experience this, but they don't stop to think about it.
Yes, because routine feels comfortable, and comfort can make you forget that time is still moving even when you're not paying attention.
Did that moment change how you saw your life immediately?
Yes, because for the first time, I stopped blaming time, and I started questioning my daily choices. I realized that my future was not controlled by time, but how I used my time.
That's a powerful realization.
Yes, and that night, I didn't feel motivated or excited. I felt something more important. I felt aware.
And awareness is the beginning of every real change.
Exactly.
After that moment, Omar, did you start observing your daily routine differently, or did everything still feel normal at first?
At first, everything still looked normal from outside, but inside me, something had changed because I started noticing details that I had ignored for years without thinking.
What kind of details did you notice?
I noticed how my day started every morning and how the first thing I touched was not my goals, not my plans, but my phone, almost like it was the most important thing in my life.
That moment when your eyes are still tired, but your hand is already holding your phone.
Yes, exactly. And I told myself it was only for a minute, just to wake up slowly. But that 1 minute quietly became 15 minutes, and sometimes even 30 minutes.
And during those minutes, you don't feel like you are losing anything important.
Yes, because it feels harmless and your brain tells you that you deserve rest. But in reality, you are giving your best mental energy to things that don't build your future.
That's a powerful point, because the morning is when your mind is fresh and clear.
Exactly. And I started noticing something else too. After using my phone, I didn't feel strong or focused. I felt slower, and it became harder to start important tasks.
So the habit was not only taking time, but also taking your energy.
Yes, and the pattern continued throughout the day. Whenever I felt slightly bored, slightly tired, or slightly uncomfortable, I escaped to my phone instead of facing the moment.
That escape feels easy, but it slowly becomes a prison.
Yes, and the scary part was that I didn't question it before. It felt normal because everyone around me was doing the same thing.
That's true. When something becomes common, people stop questioning it.
Yes, and in the evening, I often told myself that I was too tired to work on my goals, even though I had spent hours doing things that gave me no real progress.
That must have been frustrating when you realized it.
Yes, because I understood that I was not truly tired from effort. I was tired from distraction.
That's a big difference.
Yes, and that realization was painful because it showed me that my life was not limited by lack of ability, but by lack of awareness.
And awareness can feel uncomfortable, but it gives you power.
Exactly, because once you see the pattern clearly, you cannot pretend that you don't see it anymore.
Did that make you feel afraid, or did it make you feel hopeful?
Honestly, it made me feel both because I was afraid of how much time I had already lost, but I also felt hopeful because I knew I still had the chance to change direction.
Omar, you mentioned that your phone was part of your daily routine, but was there a specific moment when you realized how serious the situation really was?
Yes, and I remember that night very clearly because nothing special had happened, but the realization hit me very strongly, and I could not ignore it anymore.
What were you doing at that time?
I was lying in bed, and I told myself that I would watch one short video before sleeping because I felt tired and wanted to relax for a few minutes.
That sounds very innocent and normal.
Yes, and that's exactly why it was dangerous, because I believed I was in control, but in reality, I was just reacting automatically without thinking.
So one video became more than one video.
Yes, and I didn't even notice when the second video started, and then the third one, and suddenly I was completely lost in the screen.
Did you realize how much time had passed?
Not immediately, and that's what shocked me the most. When I finally looked at the clock, almost 2 hours had passed, and I felt like those hours had disappeared.
2 hours can change a lot if used differently.
Yes, and in that moment, I didn't feel relaxed or happy. I felt empty, and I started asking myself a very uncomfortable question.
What was the question?
I asked myself, if I continue living like this every day, where will I be in 5 years?
That question can shake you deeply.
Yes, and I remember sitting up slowly, holding my phone in my hand, and for the first time, I didn't see it as entertainment. I saw it as something that had taken control of my attention.
That must have been a very emotional moment.
Yes, because I realized that the phone was not the real problem. The real problem was how easily I gave my attention away without protecting it.
That's a very honest realization.
Yes, and I also realized something else. I realized that no one forced me to do this. I made those choices myself, even if I didn't do it consciously.
That kind of realization can feel heavy, but it also gives you responsibility.
Exactly, and responsibility can feel uncomfortable, but it also gives you power because it means you are not a victim, you are a participant.
And once you understand that, you can begin changing your behavior.
Yes, and that night, I didn't make a dramatic promise. I didn't tell myself that I would change everything immediately, but I made one simple decision.
What was that decision?
I decided that I would stop living unconsciously and I would start paying attention to how I use my time.
That sounds simple, but it's actually very powerful.
Yes, because change doesn't begin with action, it begins with awareness.
Omar, after that night, did your life change immediately or did you struggle at the beginning?
Honestly, I struggled more than I expected because even though my mind understood the problem clearly, my habits were still very strong and they didn't disappear overnight.
That makes sense because habits are built slowly and they don't leave quickly.
Yes, and I remember the next morning very clearly. I woke up and without thinking, my hand moved automatically toward my phone, exactly like every other day before.
So the habit was still there even after your realization.
Yes, and that moment felt very strange because now I was aware of what I was doing, and for the first time I could see the habit clearly while it was happening.
That awareness creates a small space between you and the habit.
Exactly, and in that small space I had a choice. I could continue automatically or I could do something different.
That moment must have felt uncomfortable.
Yes, it was uncomfortable because part of me wanted to stay in the comfortable routine, but another part of me wanted to take control of my life again.
And what did you do?
I stopped and I just sat there for a few seconds holding the phone, and I asked myself honestly, do I really want to start my day like this again?
That's a powerful question.
Yes, and I didn't feel strong or confident in that moment. I felt uncertain, but I decided to put the phone down and stand up.
That sounds like a small action, but it represents a big internal decision.
Yes, and something interesting happened. I didn't feel dramatic motivation. I didn't feel excited. I felt calm, and that calm feeling was new and surprising.
That calm feeling comes from acting consciously instead of automatically.
Exactly, and throughout that day, I noticed that I had more mental clarity, even though I'd only changed one small thing.
It's amazing how small changes can create real differences.
Yes, and I also realized something important. Change is not about becoming perfect, it's about becoming aware and making better choices more often.
Did you fail sometimes after that day?
Yes, many times, and that's important to say honestly, because change is not a straight line. There were days when I returned to old habits, but now I noticed it quickly.
So awareness stayed with you, even when you made mistakes.
Yes, and that awareness prevented me from staying stuck for long because I didn't ignore the problem anymore.
That sounds like the beginning of real personal growth.
Yes, because for the first time, I felt like I was actively participating in my life instead of just reacting to it.
Omar, you mentioned earlier that you started seeing your life differently, but was there another experience that made this realization even stronger for you?
Yes, and honestly, this experience affected me deeply because it was not about me. It was about someone I knew very well, someone I respected and cared about.
What happened with that person?
I met an old friend that I had not seen for several years, and when we sat together, everything felt familiar at first because we started talking and laughing about old memories.
That must have felt nice at the beginning.
Yes, it did, but after some time, I noticed something that made me uncomfortable and I couldn't ignore it.
What did you notice?
I noticed that his life had not changed much since the last time I saw him. He was still talking about the same plans, the same dreams, and the same goals, but they were still only ideas, not reality.
That must have been difficult to see.
Yes, because I remembered how motivated he was years ago and how excited he was about his future. But now his voice sounded different and there was less energy in his words.
Did you ask him about it?
Yes, and at first he smiled and tried to act normal, but then he said something very honest that stayed in my mind.
What did he say?
He said, I don't know what happened. I thought I had more time, and suddenly 5 years passed and nothing really changed.
That sentence carries a lot of emotion.
Yes, and when he said that, I could see sadness in his eyes. Not traumatic sadness, but quiet disappointment.
That kind of disappointment is very painful.
Yes, because he was not lazy and he was not incapable. He simply lived every day the same way, believing he would change later, but later never came.
That shows how dangerous unconscious routine can be.
Exactly. And that conversation made me realize that losing time doesn't feel like losing something. It feels like living normally until one day you suddenly see how much time is gone.
That realization can change how you see your own life.
Yes, because I understood that no one plans to waste years of their life, but many people do it slowly without noticing because small daily habits shape their future silently.
That's a very important truth.
Yes, and that moment made me afraid, not of failure, but of unconscious living, because unconscious living slowly disconnects you from your real potential.
And that fear can become motivation if you use it correctly.
Exactly. And it made me understand that awareness is not something negative. Awareness is the beginning of taking control.
Omar, after everything you experienced and observed, why do you think so many people stay stuck in the same place for years without changing?
I think the main reason is not laziness and it's not lack of intelligence. I think the real reason is comfort, because comfort feels safe and the brain naturally wants to protect safety.
That's very interesting because comfort does not feel dangerous when you are inside it.
Exactly. And that's why it's difficult to notice, because nothing feels wrong immediately. You wake up, you live your day, and everything feels normal, even if nothing is improving.
So the danger is not pain, but the absence of discomfort.
Yes, because discomfort pushes people to act, but comfort allows people to stay in the same place without questioning their direction.
That explains why change often begins with an uncomfortable realization.
Yes, and another reason is distraction, because modern life gives people endless ways to escape uncomfortable thoughts.
You mean things like social media, videos, and constant entertainment?
Yes, exactly. Because these distractions give short-term pleasure, but they slowly reduce long-term progress, and people don't notice the cost immediately.
So people feel busy, but they are not actually moving forward.
Yes, and that creates a dangerous illusion, because being busy feels productive, even when it is not truly helping your future.
That illusion can last for years.
Yes, and another important reason is fear, but not obvious fear. It's quiet fear. Fear of starting, fear of failing, and fear of leaving the familiar routine.
That kind of fear makes people delay action.
Exactly. And delay feels harmless at first because people believe they will act later, but later slowly becomes never.
That's a painful truth, but it's very real.
Yes, and I also realized something important. Many people don't believe their small daily actions matter, so they don't protect their time carefully.
But small daily actions shape the future more than big rare actions.
Exactly, because your life is not built in one dramatic moment. It is built in quiet daily decisions that seem small but accumulate over time.
That means change does not require dramatic action. It requires conscious daily direction.
Yes, and the moment someone becomes aware of this truth, they begin seeing their time differently, and that awareness creates the possibility of real change.
Omar, after everything we talked about, I think many listeners are asking themselves one important question right now. How can someone actually begin changing their life after realizing all of this?
That's a very important question, and I think the answer is simpler than people expect. But it requires honesty and consistency, because change does not begin with big dramatic actions.
So change begins with something smaller?
Yes, change begins with awareness first, and then with one small conscious decision that moves you in a better direction, even if the step feels small.
Can you give an example from your own experience?
Yes, the first real change I made was not something dramatic. I simply stopped using my phone immediately after waking up, and I gave myself time to start the day consciously.
That sounds simple, but it probably felt difficult at first.
Yes, it felt uncomfortable in the beginning because my brain wanted to return to the familiar habit, but I reminded myself that comfort was the reason I stayed stuck before.
That's a powerful realization.
Yes, and after some days, I noticed that my mind felt clearer and I had more control over my attention and my decisions.
So, one small habit began creating a bigger internal change.
Exactly. And that's when I understood that people don't need perfect discipline. They need conscious direction and consistent small improvements.
I experienced something similar when I decided to improve my English seriously. At first, I didn't try to do everything. I simply listened to English every day, even when I didn't feel motivated.
And over time, that small daily action created real improvement.
Yes, and the most important part was not motivation, it was consistency, because consistency builds confidence slowly.
That's a very important point because confidence does not appear suddenly. Confidence is built through repeated conscious action.
I think many listeners are already taking that step right now by listening to this podcast.
Yes, and listening is not a small action. Listening is a conscious investment in your future, especially when you do it consistently.
That means change is not about becoming a completely different person overnight.
Exactly. Change is about becoming a more conscious version of yourself and protecting your time and attention carefully.
And once you begin protecting your time, your direction begins changing naturally.
Yes, because your future is not built by waiting. It is built by conscious daily participation in your own life.
Omar, after everything we shared today, I feel like this conversation is not only about time, but about awareness and personal responsibility.
Yes, and I think the most important lesson is that people don't lose their future suddenly. They lose it slowly, through small, unconscious daily decisions.
We talked about routine and how routine can feel comfortable, but comfort can quietly stop your growth.
And we talked about distraction, especially the phone, and how easy it is to give your attention away without realizing the long-term cost.
We also talked about awareness and how awareness is the first real step toward change, even if the change feels small at the beginning.
And we shared real experiences, not perfect stories, but honest moments that many people experience silently.
If you are listening now and you recognize parts of your own life in this conversation, that moment of recognition is very important.
Yes, because awareness creates choice, and choice creates direction, and direction creates your future.
You don't need to change everything today. You only need to begin consciously and protect your time more carefully.
And remember, your future will not change automatically. It will change when you begin participating in your own life consciously.
At Avatar Academy, we see this transformation often, especially with learners who begin improving their English and preparing for important goals like IELTS and the Duolingo English test.
They don't become confident in one day, but through consistent listening, practice, and conscious effort, they slowly build real confidence.
And by listening to this podcast, you are already taking an important step toward improving your English and your future.
If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel because every episode helps you grow step by step.
And share this podcast with someone who wants to improve their life and their English.
Your journey does not change in one moment. It changes through conscious daily decisions.
And today can be the beginning of a new direction.
This is Avatar English Podcast.
And we will see you in the next episode.
Take care of your time.
Because your time is your life.
Many listeners ask us how they can move faster and build real English confidence.
Yes, especially learners who want to improve their conversation or prepare for exams like IELTS and the Duolingo English test.
Because improving alone can feel slow, and sometimes people need clear structure and the right guidance.
At Avatar Academy, we work with learners step by step, helping them improve listening, speaking, and real communication skills.
Some learners join to build daily conversation confidence, and others prepare seriously for IELTS or the Duolingo English test.
And the most important thing is not talent, but consistency and the right learning environment.
Many of our students started from a basic level, and through consistent training, they reached levels they never expected.
If English is part of your future, the right support can make your journey clearer and faster.
You can explore Avatar Academy and continue building your English with purpose.